Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today, we are diving into the fascinating world of the four most valuable and expensive ultra-rare United States coins ever discovered. Some of these incredible coins have sold for astonishing prices, turning ordinary pocket change into life-changing treasures. Stay tuned as we uncover their history, rarity, auction records, and the secrets that make them worth a fortune. First up, the 1953 Jefferson Nickel is one of those coins that most people would never look at twice. Yet hidden among ordinary pocket change stories is a fascinating chapter that continues to attract collectors decades later. At first glance, the coin appears simple and familiar, displaying Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the obverse and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse. Millions were produced during the early years of the post-war economic boom, a period when American industry was expanding rapidly and the United States Mint was focused on meeting growing demand for circulating coinage. Because so many examples were struck, countless pieces passed unnoticed through cash registers, piggy banks, and family collections, creating the impression that every 1953 nickel is common. What makes the story intriguing, however, is that a small number escaped the mint, carrying unusual characteristics that transformed an everyday 5-cent coin into a prized collectible worth far more than its face value. The year 1953 occupied a unique place in American coinage history because mint facilities were balancing efficiency with enormous production requirements. Dies were used extensively, machinery operated continuously, and subtle imperfections occasionally appeared during the minting process. These imperfections often went unnoticed at the time because the goal was circulation, not perfection. Today, collectors study these surviving nickels under magnification, searching for clues left behind by the production process. A slightly doubled letter, an unexpected die crack, an unusual strike pattern, or an off-center impression can reveal a hidden story that remained invisible for decades. The excitement comes from knowing that two coins, appearing nearly identical at first glance, may have dramatically different collector value once examined carefully. One of the most captivating aspects of the 1953 Jefferson Nickel is its visual design. Jefferson's profile carries remarkable detail when preserved well, while Monticello features intricate architectural elements that can reveal strike quality immediately. Collectors pay close attention to the sharpness of the steps leading to the building because strong detail often indicates a superior strike. Over time, circulation wear gradually softened these features on most examples, making sharply preserved specimens significantly harder to locate. The difference between a heavily circulated nickel and a high-grade survivor can be astonishing, especially when original luster still reflects light across the coin's surface. That shimmering mint brilliance is often what separates an ordinary collectible from a coin capable of attracting serious bidding interest. Era collectors find the 1953 nickel especially appealing because several categories of mint mistakes can exist within the series. Some examples exhibit letter doubling that appears around inscriptions, while others show striking irregularities affecting the rim or design placement. There are also instances where planchet preparation issues create unusual surfaces that immediately draw attention from specialists. Careful examination of the weight, metal composition, strike strength, edge quality, and lettering can reveal whether a coin deserves closer professional review. Many remarkable discoveries have occurred only because someone decided to inspect a seemingly ordinary nickel under magnification rather than spending it without a second thought. Stories from the collecting world often begin with a forgotten jar of coins, a family inheritance, or a box tucked away in storage for generations. Imagine someone sorting through old change and finding a 1953 Jefferson nickel that appears slightly different from the rest. Perhaps the date looks unusual, the lettering seems doubled, or the strike appears oddly positioned. In many cases, those subtle differences become the starting point of an extraordinary journey. The emotional appeal comes from the realization that valuable coins are not always locked inside museum displays. Sometimes they sit unnoticed in collections for decades. Many collectors can recall moments when they overlooked a coin only to discover later that it possessed characteristics worth substantial sums of money. When documented auction records and collector sales are examined, the value ladder begins to reveal just how significant certain discoveries can become. Smaller but desirable errors have reportedly attracted prices ranging from approximately $3,000 to $6,000, depending on condition, rarity, and demand at the time of sale. Unusual finds featuring more distinctive mint abnormalities have reached around $6,500 in specialized collecting circles. High-grade examples displaying exceptional preservation have approached $7,000 when certified by respected grading services. These figures are not guarantees, but rather examples of what dedicated collectors have been willing to pay for coins possessing the right combination of scarcity, eye appeal, and authenticity, GV. As the rarity level increases, the numbers become even more dramatic. Strong error pieces with highly visible minting anomalies have achieved reported sales near $8,000, particularly when supported by professional authentication. Extreme mint state errors displaying outstanding preservation and significant production mistakes have climbed to approximately $8,600 in certain documented transactions. Rare misstrikes, especially those showing dramatic deviations from normal production standards, have crossed the $9,000 mark in competitive markets. Each step higher on the value scale represents a narrowing population of surviving examples, which is precisely why advanced collectors are willing to compete aggressively whenever a noteworthy specimen appears for sale. The most extraordinary 1953 Jefferson Nickels occupy a category of their own, where exceptional rarity, remarkable condition, and unique minting characteristics converge. In rare documented cases, standout examples have approached or exceeded $11,000 during auction or private collector transactions. Those results remind collectors that hidden treasures can sometimes exist where few people bother to look. Before drawing conclusions about any coin, experts recommend carefully checking weight, metal characteristics, strike quality, rim condition, and any signs of letter doubling, then seeking professional authentication from a recognized grading service. A genuine rarity can easily be overlooked, and history has shown that some of the most valuable discoveries began with an ordinary-looking nickel that almost slipped through someone's hands unnoticed forever. Another factor that adds mystery to the 1953 Jefferson Nickel is the possibility of discovering varieties that remain underappreciated by casual collectors. While most people focus only on the date, experienced numismatists examine every corner of the coin, searching for dye deterioration patterns, repunched details, unusual spacing in lettering, or striking characteristics that separate one specimen from thousands of others. A nickel that appears completely ordinary under normal lighting can reveal surprising features when viewed through magnification. This is why some collectors spend hours studying rolls of coins, knowing that a single overlooked detail could transform a common piece into a highly sought-after collectible. The thrill is not merely in the potential value, but in uncovering a hidden piece of minting history that survived unnoticed for more than 70 years. Perhaps the most compelling lesson from the 1953 Jefferson Nickel is how easily important discoveries can be missed. Countless coins have been spent, traded, or discarded without anyone realizing their significance, and some of those pieces may have contained characteristics capable of attracting serious collector attention. Every surviving example represents a journey through decades of American history, passing through countless hands before arriving in a collection today. For that reason, many experts encourage collectors to slow down and inspect each coin carefully rather than assuming it has no special value. A sharp strike, an unusual error, a remarkable state of preservation. Next up, the 1962 Jefferson Nickel may appear to be nothing more than an ordinary 5-cent coin from a busy era of American commerce, but beneath its familiar appearance lies a story that continues to captivate collectors searching for overlooked treasures. Struck during a period when the United States economy was expanding and coin production remained essential for everyday transactions, this nickel quietly entered circulation alongside millions of others. Most people who handled one never imagined it could someday become the focus of intense collector interest. Yet decades later, certain surviving examples have emerged with characteristics that separate them from the countless ordinary pieces that pass through cash drawers, vending machines, and family coin jars. What makes the 1962 issue particularly fascinating is that its secrets are often invisible at first glance, requiring patience and close examination before their true significance begins to reveal itself. Unlike earlier years that are often remembered for major design transitions or historical disruptions, 1962 represents a moment of steady production where consistency was the goal. That very consistency creates the mystery. When millions of coins are expected to look exactly alike, even the smallest deviation can become important. Collectors have spent years studying these nickels, comparing details that most people would never notice. Tiny differences in lettering, subtle die wear patterns, unexpected strike characteristics, and unusual planchet conditions can transform an otherwise common coin into an object of genuine excitement. The challenge lies in recognizing those differences before they disappear into collections or are spent as ordinary change. The visual appeal of a well-preserved 1962 Jefferson nickel is often underestimated. Jefferson's portrait can display crisp contours, smooth fields, and sharp details that reflect the quality of the strike. On the reverse, Monticello presents a surprisingly intricate design filled with architectural features that become increasingly impressive under magnification. Collectors frequently focus on the sharpness of the building's details and the clarity of fine design elements because these features often reveal how carefully the coin was struck. When original mint luster survives, the surface can display an attractive glow that instantly distinguishes a premium example from heavily circulated pieces. Coins retaining that fresh from the mint appearance are becoming increasingly difficult to locate as the decades continue to pass. See, the real intrigue begins when era varieties enter the picture. Certain 1962 nickels have attracted attention because of unusual production anomalies that escaped quality control. Some examples display noticeable letter doubling, while others reveal irregular rims, striking abnormalities, or subtle die-related features that specialists eagerly investigate. In some cases, the differences are so small that only magnification exposes them. This is why experienced collectors recommend examining every detail carefully, including the weight, metal composition, strike quality, rim structure, and lettering. A coin that appears completely ordinary in casual inspection may reveal surprising characteristics once studied closely under proper lighting. Stories circulate throughout the hobby about individuals who unknowingly possessed valuable nickels for years before learning their significance. A forgotten collection inherited from a relative, a coin tucked inside an old dresser drawer, or a handful of change stored in a jar can suddenly become the source of an unexpected discovery. The emotional impact of these stories comes from the realization that opportunities are often recognized only after they have nearly been lost. Many collectors recall moments when they overlooked unusual coins simply because they appeared too common to deserve attention. In hindsight, some of those coins turned out to possess traits that would later command remarkable interest among specialists. Documented collector transactions demonstrate how dramatically values can change when desirable characteristics are present. Smaller era examples with recognized collector demand have achieved prices ranging from approximately $3,000 to $6,000, depending on rarity, condition, and market competition. Coins featuring unusual and less frequently encountered characteristics have reportedly reached around $6,500 in specialized sales. These results remind collectors that value is often determined by a combination of scarcity and desirability rather than age alone. A nickel does not need to be centuries old to become valuable if it possesses the right features sought by knowledgeable buyers. As the quality and rarity increase, the numbers climb further. High-grade certified examples displaying exceptional preservation have approached $7,000 in documented collector markets. Strong era pieces exhibiting significant minting anomalies have realized figures near $8,000 when authenticated and offered to serious bidders. Extreme mint state eras, combining remarkable condition with dramatic production irregularities, have reached approximately $8,600 in certain reported transactions. Rare misstrikes displaying unusual manufacturing outcomes have crossed the $9,000 level, demonstrating how competitive advanced collectors can become when an important example appears for sale. These are documented sales results rather than promises, but they reveal the remarkable potential hidden within an otherwise familiar coin. At the highest levels of rarity, a truly exceptional 1962 Jefferson Nickel can enter a category reserved for coins that possess an extraordinary combination of preservation, uniqueness, and collector appeal. In rare documented cases, examples with outstanding characteristics have approached or exceeded $11,000 through auction activity or private collector sales. Such results explain why experienced numismatists continue searching through old collections and accumulated change, hoping to uncover a forgotten treasure. Before assuming any coin carries significant value, experts strongly encourage careful examination of weight, metal, strike quality, rim condition, and possible letter doubling, followed by professional authentication through a respected grading service. Sometimes the difference between an ordinary nickel and a remarkable discovery is found in details small enough to be missed by almost everyone except the person willing to look closely. Another fascinating aspect of the 1962 Jefferson Nickel is how its rarity can emerge from circumstances that have nothing to do with mintage totals. While millions were produced, the number of coins surviving today in exceptional condition is dramatically smaller than many people assume. Most entered heavy circulation almost immediately, accumulating scratches, wear, contact marks, and environmental damage over the decades. As a result, collectors place tremendous importance on examples that somehow escaped the normal fate of circulation. A sharply preserved nickel with strong detail, original luster, and minimal surface distractions can generate excitement far beyond what most people would expect from a 5-cent coin. This shrinking population of premium survivors helps explain why certain pieces continue attracting attention whenever they appear in major collections or specialized sales. For many collectors, the appeal of the 1962 Jefferson Nickel goes beyond potential value and enters the realm of discovery. Every coin represents a small historical artifact that has traveled through countless hands while silently carrying evidence of the day it was struck. The possibility that an overlooked era, an unusual strike characteristic, or a rare preservation state could still be hiding in an old collection keeps the search alive. That sense of possibility is what makes coin collecting so compelling. Somewhere, a seemingly ordinary 1962 nickel may still sit unnoticed in a drawer, coin album, or inherited collection, waiting for someone to recognize the details that others ignored. History has repeatedly shown that remarkable finds often come from the most unexpected places, rewarding those who take the time to examine even the most familiar coins with patience, knowledge, and attention to detail. Next up, the 1971 Jefferson Nickel entered circulation during a decade defined by economic change, shifting metal markets, and a growing fascination with collecting modern American coins. To most people, it was simply another 5-cent piece passing from one hand to another, but hidden among the millions produced that year are examples that have become surprisingly desirable among specialists. What makes the story of the 1971 nickel so compelling is that its secrets rarely announce themselves openly. At first glance, nearly every specimen appears ordinary, carrying the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the stately image of Monticello on the reverse. Yet collectors have learned that beneath this familiar design may lie subtle clues capable of transforming an everyday coin into an object of remarkable interest and value. The minting environment of 1971 created conditions that continue to intrigue numismatists today. Production demands remained high, and coin presses operated continuously to satisfy circulation needs across the country. Whenever large quantities of coins are produced, opportunities arise for minor inconsistencies, die fatigue, and striking abnormalities to slip into circulation unnoticed. Most were never identified at the time because the coins performed their intended function without issue. Decades later, however, those same characteristics have become valuable evidence of the minting process itself. Collectors now examine surviving examples with extraordinary attention, searching for details that distinguish one coin from thousands of nearly identical counterparts. Visually, a well-preserved 1971 Jefferson nickel can be surprisingly attractive. The portrait often displays strong contours when struck sharply, while the reverse reveals architectural details that reward close inspection. Original mint luster can create vibrant reflections that move across the coin's surface as light changes angle. Some examples show exceptional sharpness throughout the design, highlighting details that are rarely seen on heavily circulated pieces. Because most nickels from this period experienced years of daily use, locating one with fresh surfaces and strong visual appeal has become increasingly challenging. This contrast between common appearance and uncommon preservation is one of the factors driving collector interest. As researchers studied surviving pieces, attention gradually shifted toward unusual production characteristics. Certain examples exhibit noticeable letter doubling, while others reveal irregular strike pressure, die-related anomalies, or unexpected rim features. There are also coins displaying subtle misalignments that become evident only under magnification. These discoveries remind collectors that important varieties are not always dramatic. Sometimes a tiny difference in lettering or a barely noticeable shift in design placement can become the defining feature that attracts advanced specialists. This is why experienced numismatists encourage careful examination of every detail rather than relying solely on visual impressions from a quick glance. The emotional side of the hobby emerges when stories surface about valuable coins hiding in plain sight. Imagine a family collection assembled decades ago, quietly stored away and forgotten until a new generation decides to investigate. Among hundreds of ordinary-looking coins sits a single 1971 nickel with an unusual characteristic nobody recognized when it was first saved. Such moments create excitement because they demonstrate how easily opportunities can pass unnoticed. Many collectors remember discovering that coins they once overlooked possessed features that later proved highly desirable. The possibility of uncovering something important where others saw only spare change continues to fuel the search. Documented collector sales reveal how significantly values can increase when rare characteristics are present. Smaller but recognized era varieties have reportedly sold within a range of approximately $3,000 to $6,000, depending on condition and demand. More unusual finds, featuring less commonly encountered minting traits, have reached around $6,500 in specialized transactions. These results are not guarantees of future value, but they illustrate the premium collectors sometimes place on coins that offer a combination of scarcity and strong visual interest. The marketplace often rewards examples that tell a distinctive story through their physical characteristics. As rarity and preservation improve, prices can move even higher. High-grade certified examples with exceptional surfaces and impressive strike quality have approached $7,000 in documented collector markets. Strong-era pieces displaying dramatic production anomalies have achieved figures near $8,000 when offered to serious buyers. Extreme mint state eras that combine outstanding condition with major minting irregularities have reached approximately $8,600 in reported sales. Rare misstrikes featuring unusual manufacturing outcomes have crossed the $9,000 level, demonstrating how fiercely advanced collectors may compete when an important specimen becomes available. Each step upward reflects increasing rarity and growing collector demand. The most extraordinary 1971 Jefferson Nickels occupy a category where condition, uniqueness, and historical interest intersect. In rare documented auction appearances and private transactions, exceptional examples have approached or exceeded $11,000 when their characteristics proved especially significant. Because of these possibilities, collectors are encouraged to examine every candidate carefully, paying attention to weight, metal composition, strike quality, rim integrity, and signs of letter doubling before reaching conclusions about value. Professional authentication remains essential because accurate identification often requires expert analysis. Hidden among ordinary collections may still be examples waiting to reveal their true significance, proving once again that remarkable discoveries can emerge from coins most people would never think to examine twice. One reason the 1971 Jefferson Nickel continues to attract attention is the growing realization that surviving populations become smaller with each passing decade. Coins that once circulated by the millions have been lost, damaged, melted, or worn beyond collector interest, leaving far fewer high-quality examples available today than original production figures might suggest. This gradual disappearance creates an intriguing challenge for collectors who are determined to locate pieces with exceptional detail and originality. The search often leads enthusiasts through old coin albums, estate collections, forgotten bank rolls, and family keepsakes, where remarkable discoveries occasionally emerge without warning. The excitement comes from knowing that rarity is not always created at the mint. Sometimes it develops slowly over generations, as untouched examples become increasingly difficult to find. Perhaps the most fascinating part of the 1971 Jefferson Nickel story is that valuable discoveries often begin with curiosity rather than expertise. A collector notices an unusual shine, a slightly different letter shape, an unexpected rim characteristic, or a strike that looks stronger than normal, and that simple observation becomes the first step toward uncovering something significant. History is filled with stories of individuals who nearly spent or discarded coins that later attracted serious collector attention after professional evaluation. For that reason, specialists consistently recommend a careful and methodical approach, including checking the coin's weight, metal characteristics, strike sharpness, rim condition, and possible doubling before seeking authentication. The next noteworthy example could still be sitting unnoticed in an old collection, waiting for someone willing to take a closer look and recognize what others missed. Next up, the 1984 Jefferson Nickel is the kind of coin that slips through everyday life unnoticed, hiding among pocket change, coin jars, and forgotten collections without attracting a second glance. Yet beneath its ordinary appearance lies a story that has quietly fascinated collectors for decades. Produced during a period when modern coinage was considered too common to become valuable, this nickel entered circulation with little expectation that certain examples would someday command serious attention. Millions were struck and distributed across the country, creating the impression that every 1984 nickel was identical. Over time, however, dedicated collectors began uncovering unusual specimens whose characteristics separated them from the countless ordinary pieces still circulating unnoticed. That contrast between common appearance and uncommon potential is what makes this coin so intriguing. The year 1984 represented a unique chapter in modern American coin production. Mint facilities were operating with efficiency and precision, yet no manufacturing process is entirely immune to small inconsistencies. Dies aged, machinery experienced stress, and subtle variations occasionally appeared during production. Most of these differences were never intended to leave the mint, but some managed to enter circulation anyway. Decades later, collectors continue examining surviving examples because even minor deviations can reveal fascinating evidence of the minting process. What once appeared to be insignificant production quirks have become valuable clues capable of transforming an ordinary coin into a highly desirable collectible. Visually, the 1984 Jefferson Nickel offers far more complexity than many people realize. Jefferson's portrait can display remarkable sharpness when struck properly, while the reverse design featuring Monticello contains numerous fine details that reward close inspection. Under proper lighting, original mint surfaces can produce a brilliant cartwheel effect that moves across the coin as it is tilted. Some examples reveal exceptionally crisp architectural details, while others display softer features due to variations in strike quality. Because many coins from this era spent years in circulation, locating specimens with untouched surfaces and strong eye appeal has become increasingly difficult, adding another layer of collector interest. What truly elevates certain 1984 nickels above the ordinary is the presence of unusual minting characteristics. Collectors have reported examples exhibiting letter doubling, die-related irregularities, rim abnormalities, and striking anomalies that distinguish them from standard pieces. Some differences are obvious, while others require magnification and careful study to identify. A slight shift in lettering, an unexpected design impression, or a subtle production flaw can dramatically change how a coin is viewed within the collecting community. These discoveries remind enthusiasts that important varieties are often hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone observant enough to notice what everyone else overlooked. Many of the most memorable stories involving collectible nickels begin with missed opportunities. A coin sits untouched in a drawer for decades, gets passed from one family member to another, or remains buried in a collection until someone finally examines it carefully. Imagine discovering that a nickel ignored for years possessed characteristics sought by advanced collectors. The excitement comes not only from the possibility of value, but also from the realization that history can hide inside the most ordinary objects. Numerous collectors have shared stories of nearly spending coins that later proved significant, reinforcing the idea that careful observation can make all the difference. Documented auction records and collector transactions reveal the surprising price range associated with certain desirable 1984 nickel varieties. Smaller but recognized errors have reportedly achieved values between approximately $3,000 and $6,000, depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand. Unusual finds displaying less commonly encountered mint characteristics have reached around $6,500 in specialized sales. These figures are based on documented market activity rather than guarantees, but they demonstrate how dramatically collector interest can influence value when a coin possesses the right combination of rarity and appeal. The value ladder continues to rise as quality and uniqueness increase. High-grade certified examples with outstanding preservation have approached $7,000 in documented collector markets. Strong error pieces displaying highly visible production anomalies have realized prices near $8,000 when offered to competitive bidders. Extreme mint state errors combining exceptional condition with dramatic minting irregularities have reached approximately $8,600 in reported transactions. Rare misstrikes featuring unusual production outcomes have crossed the $9,000 threshold, illustrating the premium collectors are willing to pay when an important and authentic example becomes available for acquisition. The most extraordinary 1984 Jefferson Nickels exist in a category reserved for coins that combine remarkable preservation, rarity, and distinctive characteristics. In rare documented auction appearances and private collector sales, exceptional examples have approached or exceeded $11,000 when their attributes proved especially desirable. Because such discoveries remain possible, collectors are encouraged to carefully evaluate weight, metal composition, strike quality, rim structure, and signs of letter doubling before making assumptions about value. Professional authentication is always recommended because accurate identification often requires expert analysis. Hidden among ordinary collections may still be examples waiting to reveal their true significance, reminding us that some of the most remarkable treasures begin as coins almost everyone ignores. Another reason the 1984 Jefferson Nickel continues to generate interest is the challenge of finding examples that have survived exactly as they left the mint. Modern coins often suffer years of handling, storage damage, cleaning attempts, and environmental exposure, all of which can reduce collector appeal. As a result, genuinely well-preserved specimens become increasingly scarce over time. Collectors frequently search through original rolls, estate holdings, and long-forgotten collections, hoping to locate coins that still display vibrant luster and sharp design details. The difference between an average circulated nickel and an exceptional survivor can be dramatic, and that distinction often plays a major role when determining collector demand. In some cases, a coin's condition alone can can elevate it from a common piece of change to an item worthy of serious attention. The enduring fascination surrounding the 1984 Jefferson Nickel comes from the possibility that valuable discoveries may still be waiting to be found. Every coin carries its own journey through history, and some continue to hide characteristics that have never been recognized by previous owners. A subtle doubling in the lettering, an unusual rim formation, an unexpected strike feature, or a rare minting anomaly could remain unnoticed for decades before finally being identified. That sense of mystery keeps collectors searching and studying, knowing that remarkable finds often emerge from the most ordinary places. Before reaching conclusions about any potentially valuable example, experts recommend carefully checking the weight, metal composition, strike sharpness, rim integrity, and overall appearance, then seeking professional authentication to verify any unusual characteristics. Sometimes a life-changing discovery begins with nothing more than the decision to look a little closer at a coin everyone else overlooked. Next up, the 1999 Jefferson Nickel arrived during a year when most Americans were focused on the approach of a new millennium rather than the coins passing through their pockets every day. Millions of nickels were struck and released into circulation, making the coin appear far too common to attract serious attention. Yet hidden among those ordinary pieces are examples that have sparked fascination throughout the collecting community. At first glance, the coin seems entirely routine, carrying the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson and the iconic image of Monticello. The small P mint mark identifies its production at the Philadelphia Mint, but for years few people imagined that certain 1999 P nickels would become subjects of careful study and competitive collector demand. The mystery lies in how an apparently ordinary coin can conceal details capable of changing its entire story. The late 1990s represented a period of massive coin production as the United States Mint prepared for increasing circulation needs. Advanced machinery allowed coins to be produced efficiently, but even modern technology could not eliminate every possibility of variation. Dies gradually wore down, production equipment experienced stress, and occasional irregularities slipped into circulation unnoticed. Most people spent these nickels without hesitation, never suspecting that subtle differences could exist from one example to another. Decades later, collectors continue searching through surviving specimens because small minting characteristics can sometimes separate an ordinary coin from a highly desirable collectible. The excitement comes from the realization that rarity is not always obvious and often reveals itself only through detailed examination. One of the most distinctive features of the 1999 Jefferson Nickel is the contrast between its widespread availability and the scarcity of premium survivors. A sharply preserved example can display impressive detail throughout Jefferson's portrait, with smooth surfaces and vibrant luster reflecting light across the fields. On the reverse, Monticello's structure reveals numerous fine elements that become increasingly impressive when viewed under magnification. Coins that escaped heavy circulation often retain a crisp appearance that collectors find particularly appealing. Because most examples experienced years of everyday handling, locating one with exceptional visual quality has become increasingly challenging, adding another layer of intrigue to the search. The deeper collectors investigate, the more fascinating the 1999 nickel becomes. Certain examples have drawn attention because of unusual production characteristics, including letter doubling, die-related anomalies, strike irregularities, and rim abnormalities. Some of these features are subtle enough to escape casual observation, requiring magnification and careful study before they become apparent. Others stand out immediately once identified by an experienced eye. These discoveries reinforce an important lesson within the hobby. A coin does not need to be old to be interesting. Sometimes, the most exciting finds emerge from modern issues that most people assume hold no special significance. Stories shared among collectors often involve missed opportunities that still inspire curiosity today. A coin pulled from circulation years ago may sit unnoticed in a collection until someone finally decides to inspect it more closely. In some cases, that closer look reveals characteristics that dramatically increase collector interest. The emotional impact of such discoveries comes from knowing how easily valuable pieces can be overlooked. Many hobbyists remember sorting through coins without realizing that a rare variety or unusual mint error had passed directly through their hands. Those moments serve as reminders that important finds are not always hidden in vaults or museums. Sometimes they are concealed within ordinary collections, waiting to be rediscovered. Documented auction records and collector sales demonstrate how significant certain 1999 nickel discoveries can become. Smaller era varieties with established collector demand have reportedly achieved values ranging from approximately $3,000 to $6,000, depending on preservation and rarity. Unusual finds featuring distinctive production characteristics have reached around $6,500 in specialized transactions. These figures are based on documented sales activity rather than promises of future performance, but they illustrate how strongly collectors respond when a coin combines scarcity, authenticity, and visual appeal. The market often rewards pieces that offer something different from the millions of standard examples produced that year. As the rarity scale increases, so does the potential value. High-grade certified specimens displaying exceptional preservation have approached $7,000 in documented collector markets. Strong error pieces featuring significant minting anomalies have achieved reported prices near $8,000. Extreme mint state errors, combining dramatic production characteristics with outstanding condition, have reached approximately $8,600 in certain sales. Rare misstrikes exhibiting unusual manufacturing outcomes have crossed the $9,000 level, reflecting the intense competition that can arise when advanced collectors pursue an especially important example. Each step higher on the value ladder represents a progressively smaller population of surviving coins capable of meeting demanding collector standards. The most extraordinary 1999 Jefferson Nickels occupy a category reserved for coins possessing an exceptional blend of rarity, preservation, and uniqueness. In rare documented auction appearances and private collector transactions, standout examples have approached or exceeded $11,000 when their characteristics proved especially significant. Because remarkable discoveries remain possible, experts encourage collectors to examine every candidate carefully, paying close attention to weight, metal composition, strike quality, rim condition, and signs of letter doubling before drawing conclusions about value. Professional authentication remains essential because accurate identification often requires specialized knowledge and equipment. Hidden among ordinary collections may still be examples waiting to reveal their true importance, proving that even a modern nickel can carry a story far more valuable than anyone first imagined. Another element that keeps the 1999 Jefferson Nickel in the spotlight is the ongoing search for overlooked varieties that may still be sitting unnoticed in collections assembled decades ago. Because the coin is relatively modern, many people assume every example is common and therefore not worth a closer look. That assumption has led countless nickels to be stored away without detailed examination. Collectors who specialize in modern coinage understand that rarity can emerge from factors such as exceptional preservation, unusual die characteristics, or subtle minting anomalies that are easy to miss during casual inspection. The thrill comes from knowing that a coin dismissed by one person may become a remarkable discovery for another who takes the time to study every detail carefully. The story of the 1999 Jefferson Nickel ultimately revolves around observation and patience. Valuable finds are rarely identified by chance alone. They are usually discovered because someone decided to inspect the coin's weight, metal composition, strike sharpness, rim integrity, surface quality, and possible letter doubling with greater attention than most people would ever consider. Throughout the history of coin collecting, significant discoveries have often emerged from ordinary-looking pieces that blended seamlessly into everyday circulation. That possibility continues to inspire collectors to search through old coin jars, inherited collections, and forgotten albums, knowing that an important example could still be waiting to reveal its hidden story after years of being overlooked by everyone who handled it before. Next up, the 2000p Jefferson Nickel entered circulation at the dawn of a new millennium, a moment when people across the United States were focused on technological change, celebrations, and predictions about the future rather than the coins moving through their hands each day. Because so many examples were produced, the coin quickly earned a reputation as an ordinary modern issue with little chance of becoming noteworthy. Yet beneath that familiar appearance lies a story that has gradually attracted the attention of collectors who understand that rarity is not always determined by age. Hidden among the millions of standard pieces are a small number of nickels carrying unusual characteristics that transform them from everyday pocket change into coins worthy of serious examination. The most intriguing part is that many of these discoveries remained unnoticed for years before collectors finally recognized what made them different. The Philadelphia Mint was operating at a high level of production efficiency in 2000, striking enormous quantities of coinage to meet nationwide demand. While modern minting technology was highly advanced, no manufacturing process is completely free from imperfections. Dies experienced wear, planchets occasionally displayed irregularities, and striking equipment sometimes produced subtle anomalies that escaped detection. Most coins performed their intended role flawlessly and circulated for years without attracting attention. However, collectors later realized that a small number carried clues revealing unusual events during production. Those clues, once overlooked, now form the foundation of some of the most interesting collector stories associated with the 2000p Jefferson Nickel. A carefully preserved example from this year can be surprisingly attractive. Jefferson's portrait often displays smooth contours and crisp detail when struck well, while the reverse showcases Monticello with remarkable architectural precision. Under proper lighting, original mint luster can sweep across the surface in bright rotating bands, creating a visual effect that immediately distinguishes a premium specimen from heavily circulated examples. Many nickels from this period accumulated contact marks and wear through everyday use, making pristine survivors increasingly difficult to locate. Collectors often spend years searching for examples that retain their original appearance because condition can dramatically influence both desirability and market interest. What elevates certain 2000p nickels beyond ordinary status is the existence of unusual mint-produced varieties and errors. Some examples reveal letter doubling visible under magnification, while others exhibit distinctive strike irregularities, direlated features, or rim abnormalities. In some cases, these differences are subtle enough that they remain unnoticed for decades. A coin that appears completely ordinary during a casual inspection may reveal fascinating details once examined closely. This element of surprise continues to drive collector interest because every coin carries the possibility of containing something unexpected hidden within its design. The emotional side of collecting often emerges through stories of near misses and overlooked opportunities. Imagine opening an old coin album or sorting through a forgotten jar of change only to discover that a nickel saved years ago possesses characteristics now sought by collectors. Such moments create excitement because they remind us how easily valuable pieces can pass unnoticed through everyday life. Many collectors have shared experiences of spending coins that later turned out to be significant varieties, while others discovered important pieces only because curiosity led them to look more carefully than everyone else. The possibility that another hidden example remains undiscovered continues to inspire searches through collections both large and small. Documented collector sales demonstrate how dramatically values can rise when desirable characteristics are present. Smaller error examples with recognized collector demand have reportedly sold for amounts ranging from approximately $3,000 to $6,000, depending on rarity, condition, and market competition. Unusual finds displaying less common production characteristics have reached around $6,500 in specialized transactions. These figures represent documented sales activity rather than guarantees, but they highlight how strongly the market can respond when a coin offers a combination of scarcity and collector appeal. Even a modern nickel can attract remarkable attention when it possesses the right attributes. As rarity increases, the value ladder continues upward. High-grade certified examples displaying exceptional preservation have approached $7,000 in documented collector markets. Strong, era pieces featuring dramatic minting anomalies have achieved prices near $8,000 when offered to determined bidders. Extreme mint state errors that combine outstanding condition with major production irregularities have reached approximately $8,600 in reported transactions. Rare misstrikes displaying unusual manufacturing outcomes have crossed the $9,000 mark, demonstrating the premium collectors are often willing to pay for coins that stand apart from ordinary examples. Each level reflects increasing scarcity and growing competition among specialists. The most extraordinary 2000p Jefferson Nickels occupy a category where rarity, preservation, and uniqueness converge. In rare documented auction appearances and private collector sales, exceptional examples have approached or exceeded $11,000 when their characteristics proved especially significant. Because discoveries remain possible, experts recommend carefully evaluating weight, metal composition, strike quality, rim condition, and any signs of letter doubling before drawing conclusions about a coin's importance. Professional authentication is strongly encouraged because accurate identification often requires specialized equipment and expertise. Hidden among ordinary collections may still be examples waiting to reveal their true significance, proving that even a seemingly common nickel from the year 2000 can conceal a story far more valuable than anyone initially imagined. Another fascinating aspect of the 2000p Jefferson nickel is how collector interest has evolved over time. When these coins first entered circulation, very few people considered saving them because they were viewed as modern, abundant, and unlikely to become special. As years passed, however, researchers and collectors began identifying examples with unusual characteristics, bringing renewed attention to a coin that had long been ignored. This shift in perception demonstrates an important reality within numismatics. Rarity is sometimes recognized only after decades of study. A nickel that once seemed too common to matter can suddenly become a subject of serious interest when its surviving population, condition rarity, or unusual minting features are better understood. For that reason, many experienced collectors encourage a careful and methodical approach when examining any 2000p Jefferson nickel. Rather than focusing only on the date and mint mark, they recommend checking the coin's weight, metal composition, strike sharpness, rim structure, surface preservation, and possible signs of letter doubling or other mint-produced anomalies. Even subtle differences can play a major role in determining whether a coin deserves further attention. History has shown that remarkable discoveries often emerge from ordinary collections, inherited coin jars, and forgotten albums where valuable pieces remained unnoticed for years. The next significant example could still be sitting in a drawer or collection today, waiting for someone to recognize the details that countless others overlooked.